Hello again. Funny how time works, doesn't it? I mean, gosh, 1 minute you're blasting a Sunday show and the next minute midweek. So, timey-wimey, as Stephen Moffat would say. Well, we're well into the final countdown to the season 2 start on Saturday the 12th of April. Got loads of plans for that. And the Who junket reaches America. We have the latest on what was said and the titles and the teasers being revealed. They claim Doctor Who was a hit show. We debate that later. I could have added an S, I know, to that thumbnail. But anyway, we'll debate whether actually Doctor Who is perceived as a hit show now and ever was. We'll look at the ratings. And as you know, the whole USP of this show is it's whovians from different generations, different continents, all discussing the same topics. Can we cross the divide? Can we unite? Or do we have very different perceptions of Doctor Who? And that's where the fun of the Bigenerates is. We've got 3 people today, including myself. We've got somebody age 50 odd, you can guess who. Got somebody 40 and somebody 26. So we've got the full range of Who fandom here. So where do you slot yourself, right? So arguments are always made about Doctor Who being a program about change. Is that really true? You know, they waffle about that, but how true is that? So the Bigenerates, as I said, crossing the generational divide, we'll debate that one as well. And is it really happy birthday to Doctor Who? We mentioned that Radio Times was commemorating it last week, but now it's the 20th today when Rose was broadcast on the 26th of April in 2005. Is there anything to celebrate? We take a look. And of course, we've been busy. This channel's always busy. We've been topical, passionate, mixing fun and frankness. The Who pets were busy in action on Sunday. The Sunday show was stellar. You've got the Who pets in Niagara and everywhere. But take a look if you missed it. It's a hell of a one, that one. I tell you what, we have panelists from the past, the present, the future. Very timey-wimey. We've also got, and now look at the hearts. We will get on to Good Morning America in a moment, but basically we're the ones with the hearts and the passion. We're the Doctor Who fans. So come on, share your thoughts. Never mind 2 hearts, Bob over there. So here we go. The thumbnail says it all. There's a lot to talk about. And at the moment in this build up to the new Doctor Who season, whether we're dreading it or not, come and share, come and offload, and let's take it from there. So here we go. Who have I got on first? Well, of course, his name's in lights in the credits. So let's get him on. Generation X here. So let's get Generation Xennial on. Hiya, James.
Hello, how are we doing?
Well, let's see if we agree on anything today. Let's see if there's any little problems between our generations. And we've got a new panelist today for us. We're crossing the Great Pond again. We're off to Wisconsin, and we've got Sonny, 26. He doesn't even know what generation that is. He might be on the very end of Generation Y. So here he is. Good to see you, Sonny.
Howdy, I'm the pirate Sonny Waffles, aka the pirate of YouTube, and I like to talk about Doctor Who.
Yes, he certainly does. And he will surprise you. Hartnell and Troughton and Pertwee were mentioned almost the first time I met him. Aye. So, yes, he might be 26, but he mentioned Classic Who early doors. So that's the whole point of this. Surprises abound. So it's great to have you on, lads. And let's surprise the panel, the thread today with what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing, of course, the first cab on the rank, if I can get all this set up for you, is the posters. When you see the posters for the new season of Doctor Who, I feel so uninspired. I really don't know. It's like he's just stood on a sand dune, reaching out. And I noticed the slogan says "Get her home." She's behind him. I mean, she could almost just push him. It's just. I mean, is it really getting you sleepless at night? Are you thinking, "Oh wow, this is really grabbing me"?
I'm going to start my assessment with as well. I'm going underwhelming. I mean, I've made better pictures than that with AI.
The use of negative space is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think, Sonny? I mean, I'm always. This is what's fascinating about everything to do with having Who fans of different ages and experiences, different careers and everything. When you see a poster like that, whether it's Doctor Who or not, would it have caught your eye, and does it appeal?
Definitely not. The only thing that appealed to me is the logo, the Doctor Who logo, because it's right in the middle. But like, I don't like the use of negative space. I never liked the actual hook of the season, Get Her Home. Like, I don't like it when the companion doesn't want to be here. I'm like, what? Then go home. And it's like, that's what we're doing, I guess. But it's like, now that's 8 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time that Get Her Home thing made sense was when they were talking about the Starship Voyager. This is supposed to be Doctor Who. This is supposed to be about exploration. It's not supposed to be about coming home. It's supposed to be about seeing new things that you haven't seen before, not trying to get back to what you already know.
Yeah, and exploring. Why do we like Doctor Who? Escapism. And the whole setup for this season 2 is let's get back home. It's like, no. Let's go to the planet Zog. I want to see Menoptera. I want to see Metabolus 3. No, I don't want to go back home. As a kid, even when I watched Doctor Who, I loved being in that little lounge, taken to Draconia and everywhere. I don't want to be here. So honestly, they've got the run. Do they understand sci-fi? Anyway, what's really funny is, lads, because it's such a basic poster, everybody's played with it. So this is the original Get Her Home. But of course, somebody just adapted the angle, which is very Jodie Whittaker's poster. But then you get this one with Tegan, because of course the whole
anybody there.
Yeah, I mean, time flight and visitation when she tells him off. Do you call that Heathrow? That was the whole thing then. If she wants to go, clear off. So yes, we've got that one. Are you thinking of any others that fans might have done on getting them home?
I think I saw one that had the Fourth Doctor. I'm not sure exactly where I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much fun. I mean, Tegan's the classic one. She wanted to get home, and she kept telling off the Doctor. It irritated me to no end. He's the Doctor. Shut up.
Sarah Jane Smith.
There you go. Study calls it out. There's Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah, that's the one that I saw.
I've only seen 2 Sarah Jane episodes, and the Centaur experiment was one.
And that's Hand of Fear, yeah. So that's that one. So Tegan needed to get home. Sarah Jane, in the end, wasn't actually dropped off at home. She was just dumped somewhere else. What about this one? Of course, you've got the original crew. And
the original crew. That's actually makes sense, though. That was like, and it actually worked because it was in the Doctor Who format. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the whole thing. I mean, he basically kind of kidnapped them, really, didn't he?
They wanted to. They don't walk into places you don't understand. But okay, sure, but nah, they walked in, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
If you stowed away on board a ship and the ship left port, you wouldn't consider yourself kidnapped.
That's why I didn't like Sarah Jane when I watched this entire experiment. I was like, first of all, you're a stowaway, and now you're selling out the doctor. I was like, do people like this character?
I must admit, I much preferred Sarah Jane with the 10th Doctor than with the 4th Doctor.
Okay. Well,
I haven't seen any 4th Doctor Sarah Jane. I've only seen 3rd Doctor. That's it.
Well, yeah. Oh, she changes.
She was better with the 4th Doctor than she was with the 3rd Doctor, and in my opinion, she was better with the 10th Doctor than she was with the 4th Doctor.
Oh, I know, but it all went lovey-dovey then, though, a bit, didn't it? Anyway, so there you go. You've got Ian and Barbara, Tegan, and you've got Belinda Chandra all lined up. It's getting to get a cluttered TARDIS again. It reminds me of Stolen Earth. But we're not finished, Gan. We're not finished. You can see how this works. I mean, of course, that one, it was all about getting her to the church. And then Ryan Sinclair, we have to go Jodie Whittaker for a second. Almost with it almost feels like an ET bike. And then, of course, the War Doctor. No more.
Well, I don't know. Why is it cooler with every other?
Accurate.
Yeah. And just to kind of round it up, this fun of just warming everything here is this one.
You can just cancel it.
Right. Exactly. So I think you can take your pick. We should actually market these. You know, which one do you want? And it gives you the era, a bit like the Radio Times front covers for 20. Which one are you getting? Are you getting this one, which is Dr. Woke? Are you getting No More? Are you getting Ryan Sinclair, Don't You Dare? Are you getting to the church? Get them all home. Get Sarah home. Get Ian and Barb. I mean, honestly, but the point is, you get back to the original and you're going, it really does not. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I will watch, but
I'm thinking somebody's getting fired because the marketing is terrible. Like, I don't know. The poster just the negative space. They're just pointing at random places that she doesn't want to go. Apparently, it's just okay.
And
sure.
And the very fact that Doctor Who fans have shown so many different companions and setups, doesn't it tell you that the whole premise for this season
it's not creative? It's not creative. That's why I said I don't even like the trope like of this companion who don't want to be here and we could pilot the TARDIS and get home anymore. Okay, whatever.
We all allowed ET to say he wanted to go home, but not the
doctor. The series started with him leaving his home.
Something that's just popped into my head is Get Who Home. This is the same mistake they made last season, is just assuming the Doctor's relationship with the companion. We don't know who this person is. We've never seen her. So Get Who Home. Why should I care? And in what way does the poster tell me I should care? Because it doesn't.
It doesn't. There's not much there. They're in the distance. The silhouette thing doesn't work, does it? Farsight, you could adapt it to push him off. There's so much love in this thread. Paul Stenterford, this proves that it has all been done before. That's the very thing. That's a very bad start to a season to say, let's just do what has been done before.
Worse.
Yeah.
And there's no new ideas under the sun, but it's like it's their job to present it as new, to make it exciting.
Well, part of it, Sonny, is I do recall, I'll try and defend RTD for a mini second. He did say at the start of season 1 that it would be called season 1 because it's going global. They're going to try and sell it to the American market and other markets, so they have to start again. But really, how many times can you start Doctor Who off again before people go, get on with it?
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously, when did you start watching Doctor Who? And did you need an introductory episode, Sonny?
My introductory episode was NUWHO. It worked very well, and that's what hooked me. It was when Doctor Who was on Netflix. I don't remember the year, but I was in high school because I truly believe Doctor Who was marketed to females, like teenage girls, and I like teenage girls, so that's how I got in with them. And I binged it all the way. I'm pretty sure Matt Smith was finished already, so that's how late I was to Doctor Who and how young I am in my generation scale. And by the time I finished it, like Peter Capaldi was already announced and was coming, like the new season was basically starting. So then I watched Peter Capaldi live from there. So once Peter Capaldi ended, that's when I kind of burned out on Doctor Who. But there's so much Doctor Who, I was able to like take a break for years, maybe like 4 years. And then I started watching Classic Who. Like it's infinite at this point for me.
But you see, I'm trying to think of any Doctor Who fan, apart from if you started at the beginning or you happen to start with 11th hour or something. I mean, James, when you started watching Doctor Who, was it an introductory episode on how this all works? Or did you just kind of work it out?
Well, my first episode was Christopher Elkinstone's last episode. So it was actually a Regeneration episode. And
that's chaos.
Yeah. And it was quite overwhelming, but like in a good way. Like I was watching it really intently, like working out what was going on, and there were enough clues in the dialogue to actually work out what was going on.
Oh my God, we'd have to make you showrunner. You mean when the TARDIS opened up and you had a lorry and then he had to suck the vortex out of it? I mean, and that was like, oh, that's a normal night out with a lass, that. I mean,
I just saw that scene yesterday. It was crazy.
Yeah,
if you really think about it, if that's your introductory episode, James, how does that make any sense at all? and the hologram.
Well, I mean, I know I've said this to you before, but saying for Sunny's sake, I started watching because I'd seen David Tennant in Casanova, and I thought he was amazing, and I wanted to see more of him. So my first episode was his Regeneration episode.
Yeah.
So that's why I was watching the episode. So I understood what was going on when his season started the next year or at Christmas.
And a Regeneration episode is exciting, but I must admit it wasn't. Isn't it funny that most Doctor Who fans grasped it, but they didn't need to sit down and have a kind of A to B to C. RTD, stop patronizing your viewers. Get on with the story.
Yeah, go back to how you used to do it 20 years ago.
Well, we've got an American on the panel. Sonny, you can represent all of America today.
I will do that. That's what the pirate is for.
That's it. The Americans don't need this explaining. No,
they don't. We're not as dumb as you think we are.
Exactly.
We're dumb in the same way you guys are dumb, to be honest.
yeah. For watching it. No. Far sight here. If it weren't for the TARDIS and WHO logo, you wouldn't know it was a poster for it. Exactly. Because when you said you quite like the logo, the thing that always grabs my eye is the TARDIS. I just love to see the TARDIS somewhere weird.
That's why I wish they were just a little more creative. Like, just even get Who home is more creative. You replace her with Who, you're like, oh, Doctor Who, get Who home. Okay, I can see. But like, I don't know. It's just so boring, so plain.
Well, last year we were desperately trying to get the foster carer arrangements for Ruby Sunday. This year we just want to get her home. Is Doctor Who a social services drama now? Because it seems to me he just tries to, or is he a taxi driver? He just tries to get people home, tries to get them a foster carer. Honestly, RTD.
No, it's the ONLI.
The only episode of NUWHO of RTD2 that I've seen was Dot and Bubble, which I'm still upset you told me to watch.
Sorry.
But and he was upset at the end of that because he wouldn't let the people, he wouldn't take them to a random place. They were like, no, we'll just explore this land. And he was like, why? He started spitting at Ruby. And I was like, what what's going on?
Now, while everybody's getting used to our new panelist, Sonny, because it's interesting, isn't it? Sonny, I asked, you hadn't seen season 1. And I said, oh, if you're going to come on, it'd be quite nice for you to know a little bit about Ncuti. So you watched Dot and Bubble, as I advised, because I knew that would be interesting. And of course, I mean, just before we move on, just so everybody knows what your reaction was, your reaction when you saw his amazing, because RTD tells us that was one of the most amazing scenes when you said he's shouting and spluttering and spitting. I mean, didn't you find that amazing acting?
I was gonna say, wow, this was a slightly below average Doctor Who episode. Then he gave the speech. And then I was like, okay, now this is a Doctor Light episode with too much doctor in it. Why is he speaking at me when it doesn't even make sense? Because usually the doctor would be the first one to leave a place after he just saved it, right? He'd be the first one out of there. But he was mad because he wouldn't let them save them. And then I was like, but wasn't he like emotionally stable? That's why he bigenerated, but now he's raging. And this is art. And I'm like, what's going on? I was just really confused. And I was like, I don't think starting at episode 1 would help me understand this, because I already knew what happened. So I was just confused.
Well, Sonny, you're welcome here, as I'm sure James will say as well. But Side Quest to Nerd has just said, "Hi, Sonny, you bring a new energy here. I love it." So there you go. So
I'm the pirate of the people.
There you go. So you're scoring well. You're scoring well. So of course, let's talk about the Good Morning America interview and what was said. And I've actually managed to grab a bit of it. So shall we just kind of steal a little moment to actually see what was said? Okay, one moment, everybody. Here we go.
Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series.
I've not had a companion that challenges the Doctor as much. The greatest trouble he's ever faced before. Whovians will love this season. It's
the best reveal.
The best reveal.
No, but it's you.
Well, Doctor?
Of course. The Master.
Yeah, they're proper reveals. You know, she said it's the best reveal in this season 2. There's the best reveal. Now, I did play. Yes, it wasn't a mistake of editing. They did say the words, and I'll just play it one more time because it's nice and short, and then we'll talk about what was said. But America did say it was a hit series. Let me just confirm that.
Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series.
I've not had a companion that challenges the Doctor as much. The greatest trouble he's ever faced before. Whovians will love this season. It's
The best reveal.
the best reveal.
No, but it's you.
Well, Doctor?
Of course. The Master.
Yes, those are the reveals that I'm used to, and they're dramatic enough. But there were lots of things to unpick there. But what, James, one thing you want to pick on from what we learned from the American interviews there that you want to just talk about?
Well, it's kind of bait and switch, really, isn't it? Because it is still supposedly Doctor Who, so it was a hit series. But the last series absolutely bombed. And yeah, and as Adrian's saying, he's often saying the things that I'm thinking in chat. Yeah, it's offensive to say that it's the same show.
Yeah.
But they are saying it's the same show. And they're also not saying it's the same show.
Yeah, by saying it's
restarting the numbers, and now this is series 2, which is probably apt because it does look like it's going to be a bit of a number 2.
Yeah. Well, this is, remember, this is stupid. This is the 3rd time we've had season 2. It's just, you know, it's absolute madness. So, Sonny,
yeah, let's put it season 6.
Yeah, Sonny, I don't know if you saw this.
Everyone.
Did you see this in America, or have you just caught up with this?
I haven't seen this, but I'm laughing because I didn't pick up on that discognizance y'all was talking about. I picked up on the fact that he said, yeah, something the Doctor never faced before. I was like, what are you talking about? You just got done showing us all these memes of all the times, the things he done it before. And then they showed pictures of past Doctors. Like, they're not even showing clips of the current series. They're showing stuff from the Baker era. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, I did that bit. I did that bit at the end. You know, those clips at the end was me. Good Morning America. It was less than 2 minutes, and all they said was, "Yeah." So what I like about what you've said, Sonny, is you liked my bit the best. I said, because she said there's going to be the best reveal in this series, and I thought, here's some good reveals: the Master, Yana Master, and when she says it's you. It's you again. But I'll show you I won't show you the clips again, but I'll show you what was said, and then we can discuss them. So here we go. Season 2 has the best reveal. So James, I'm sorry, but we've got to see how attuned as Doctor Who fans we are to RTD's brain power. What do you think? It was Verada Sethu who said this, and she butted in and she said, it's the best reveal for Doctor Who fans. So you think, whoa, that's up there with what? What do you think is coming back?
After the Sutex saga, I hate to think what they think is a great reveal. I mean, I don't know. The TARDIS is now an incarnation of the Doctor from the future, maybe. After, you know, they had the TARDIS run around as a person in the Matt Smith era. Like, maybe that person is actually the Doctor from the future. I hope it's nothing quite that bad, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, well, before Sonny comes in, the thread, I'm going to have to do my toxic alert. Small Goat says, the worst case scenarios, Mrs. Flood is from the timeless child species, and they go that way. I mean, if that happens, then it's game over, isn't it? Sonny, with your experience, what do you think is the best reveal that could be possible?
That companion, who I don't know the name of, is the Doctor's mom.
Oh, God. Oh, and he left without doing the dishes. Oh, God. or doing his bed. Oh, my God.
That's what it is.
I still think that it's going to be Susan, the first ever kind of companion, will appear again. Because if it's the best reveal, it has to be therefore going back to 63, surely. So I'm still going to say Susan. And I know you're going, well, there's no surprise there. He's mentioned Susan before, but I think it has to be revealed. It has to.
Yeah.
But he did say also, so if you get right into it, he says, they had a love-in with each other. They adore each other. You know how these actors work. Oh, everything was amazing and I laughed. But what they did say is the best reveal, the Doctor is facing the greatest trouble he's ever faced before. Again. Yeah. The greatest trouble he's ever had before. Fallen ratings. A show who's confused what Doctor Who is. I mean, that's a first time. But basically, look, and I'm just intrigued what you think of this, because just as we get to it, Ncuti also said in that little interview, he said there's loads of Easter eggs for Doctor Who fans. Now, you know what an Easter egg is. Basically, you get a glimpse of the macra in Gridlock. You just get a glimpse of something. And to be quite honest, it's fan service, and it doesn't. I don't think it rewards you, but I don't know what you think, Sonny, and then I'll ask James. I mean, Easter eggs, do we need that, or do we need a good plot?
Easter eggs definitely lose their stopping power, I would say, over time. They work better in movies. Like, we're coming here for a real plot, I would say. But Doctor Who's biggest enemy has always been cancellation. So maybe we'll get meta again, and it could be okay. I will say it looks good from the trailers and stuff. Like, not that poster, but everything else looks good. You know, like the titles, not the titles themselves, but the little animated title sequences. You know, like in like the actual trailer, like it looks fine, but like, I don't know, cancellation is on the horizon. Hopefully, maybe.
The first thing that I thought when I saw the latest trailer, either yesterday or the day before, I think yesterday, the first thing I said to Brendan was, "It just looks so cheap." I was particularly referring to the actual, like, the planets and the scenery. It looked.
But I don't know. We never watched Doctor Who
did it in AI on their lunch.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But like, we never watched Doctor Who for the visuals. I just watched The Mutants last night, and episode 4 and 5 of The Mutants blew my mind. And I was like, this is terrible, but hilarious. But like, I love it. And like, I also thought Dot and Bubble looked good. I was gonna give it like a below average rating, but then like they ruined it. So I don't know. Like, I don't think that's the issue. I don't think that will ever be the issue.
Well, while we're talking about what was said on Good Morning America and I'll then start asking about the hit show in a moment because I'll look at the ratings. But just because of James mentioning the season 2 trailer, and there's been a few now, I've obviously edited it down so we can actually take a quick look now, and then you can give us your feedback. So it was interesting for my Sunday panel. Obviously, the thread will have had more time to look and think and talk to other streams. And so I'll show this, and then we'll have a good chat about whether there is promise there, and if there's any clues who might be the best reveal. So here we go. There you go. What do you reckon then?
I mean, okay, the TARDIS shot at the end, looks quite good. The rest of it doesn't look anywhere near as good as, like, CG wise, direction wise, lighting wise. It doesn't look anywhere near as good as even the 2005 series.
Yeah.
It's and that, I mean, yeah, I completely agree with what Sunny was saying, that we don't watch Doctor Who for the visuals, but it's worse than the 2005 series visually, and it's made with all this extra Disney money that is supposed to be amazing. So where is the money going? How are they laundering it?
Yeah, John was saying that on Sunday, actually. John was saying, since we've got this massive budget, where is the evidence of it? Sonny, you obviously quite like that trailer.
Oh, slow down. I didn't say quite like. I wouldn't put it that high, but like, yeah, like I think I would hope the stuff in the background would relate to the season and the episodes that the title corresponds to, but the actual titles like doesn't inspire like actual, what is it, thought, actual like plot, you know. But it's fine. I think it looks fine, and I would disagree. Like, I think this stuff looks better than the 2005 and 2009 stuff. I think it's fine. Like, I honestly think it's fine, but like, whatever.
Yeah, well, Farsight said there's a few things here. So the interview was very short. The clip I could find was 2 minutes. One YouTuber said the PR machine was kicking into overdrive. So yeah, 2 minutes. And they just said a few quick things. I mean, hit series. We talked about, and then off for another break. Yeah, not exactly. So see over there, I would sell my soul to the devil to get Doctor Who cancelled. Too bad I already sold it to get the show back on the air 20 years ago. Let's have a look. I mean, I love the way people are disagreeing with us as well. That's always good. Adrian Sherlock, Doctor Who is basically a show about atmospheric suspense and the unit versus Auton situation in many variations. So, you know, that's what we should be focusing on. Farsight, the CGI never looks as good as physical models and monsters. That they learned that with Star Wars the hard way. They went back to proper model shots and everything, didn't they?
I don't watch Star Wars. I don't know.
Yeah. So the quote here from the last bit of the interview, this rolls specifically on this show that means, and this is it. This is Ncuti starting to talk about how special it feels to him. It's so symbolic, you know. He's like the Queen, James Bond, Mr. Bean, British iconography. There's a few things that are so identifiably British. and Doctor Who's one of them. And as a black man and as an immigrant, it feels quite symbolic to take on this role. I don't know. I think it's just quite symbolic as to where we are in society. Or do tell me, what do you mean by that, Ncuti? I don't know what you mean. You got a job.
And they'll never elaborate.
Yes, but does it sound good? You know, Ncuti, we sound like a beautiful country, don't we, Sonny? You know, we've looked at our. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, it's the same type of dribble that would come out in America as well. That's the part that makes me sad. And I don't know, like it's a lot of pointless words. Like, as a black man doesn't mean anything for the role of the Doctor. As an immigrant, kind of means something for the role of the Doctor, but not really. He never really cared that much about it. He always cared about life on every planet. I don't know. It's like, and I don't even relate to any of that. So like even the people he related to that wasn't, he's a Doctor Who, the Queen, James Bond, Mr. Bean. I'm like, you would think I would know James Bond stuff, but I'm not a movie buff guy, so I don't even like relate to James Bond like that. Mr. Bean, not my bag.
Let me, Sonny, ask you the question that I think a lot of people will be really interested in the answer, because I asked you it the other day.
Yeah.
Which is, we get interviews like that from people like Ncuti and then RTD saying it's all about representation and inclusivity, DEI and everything. Now, so I'm going to ask you the question again so that the viewers can see that this doesn't seem to be working. So this is RTD picking a black male lead to talk to you and to say, you can do anything you want to do, Sonny. Isn't this amazing? Why aren't you happy with this representation, Sonny?
Because this is not a new idea. I am 26 and I have been hearing it for over 2 decades. So it is like, this isn't new. This isn't innovative. And if you're saying it now, you're probably lying to me. That's the truth about it. If you're really saying it, especially in a patronizing way, like, you know, it's not a thing now, but some people think like black people can't get IDs, and it's like, black people can get IDs. Like, it's like simple, like random stuff like that. It's like, I have multiple IDs. That's not, it's not a thing. It's like, you're like, patronizing people doesn't make you, it doesn't make him a better doctor. You know, like Christopher Eccleston and Peter Capaldi become better doctors to me because of the interviews I heard from them, because they elaborate. They're actually telling the truth. They're actually being honest. You know, they're not playing a character 24 hours a day. Like,
and this is why I was fascinated this is why I was fascinated when I talked to Sonny. I mean, Sonny represents himself just like I represent myself. But it is fascinating when you hear some of the drivel from normally white middle-class showrunners telling us what to think about anything, about gender representation a lot. And so I was interested in Sonny's response, particularly because I thought, do you know what? We were saying this the other day, weren't we? Though, before I come to James, just so everybody knows what we were saying. If it's going to be a good black male lead, this isn't it. You were happy to say that this is not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much, but what I've seen isn't good, and it's not a black character I've never related to. Like, the people who know, they know this, like American cartoon stuff. Like, I'm a Static Shock guy, you know, Cyborg. Like, there's strong black characters. Cable, or not Cable, what's his name? Luke Cage, that's his name. There's strong black male characters like in our zeitgeist that people beloved and like fan favorite, cult favorites everywhere that people should know, like in our culture, that could be pulled from people who we don't. I don't like it. I never have. We never watched it.
So isn't it funny? And all I'll say, and I'll park your thought there, that RTD seems to think you and me and everyone else needs this representation, and it isn't landing
that's how fascists talk. That's what pick a dictator. That's what they were saying to their people.
Yeah. So, and isn't it funny that there are 3 different generations of Doctor Who fan here, And there's a lot of other differences as well on different countries and everything. Isn't it funny that we kind of, I mean, James, I'm assuming you agree on this point that Ncuti is not a good representation, and it's become a dud.
He's not the Doctor at all. He's just not the Doctor.
Yeah. Could I say the Doctor Who live stream has been, the Doctor Who YouTube channel has been like live streaming like for 24 hours now, different scenes. I've watched for like an hour and I've seen clips of like all the doctors, and the only doctorish scene, the only scene they showed of Ncuti season was like the Church of Ruby Road. I saw a goblin, which I actually like goblins. It almost made me want to watch it because I was like, oh, that's a goblin. And I was like, that's a goblin, that's a cool villain. Like, I think Doctor Who are doing like decent monsters still. Like, I like the goblin and I like the monster and Dot and Bubble, but like he jumped up on the rope and like showed off his little new tech glove he built. I was like, that's kind of doctory. That was actually like a good scene, but like that's all they showed. They didn't show anything else.
But the other thing you were saying, Sonny, just before I move on, just so everybody can be established on this, because it's fascinating when we get lectured to on representation.
Yeah.
You quickly said to me the other day, Sonny, that, you know, yeah, whether if you have good, you know, black male lead representation, that's good. If you know, like you've listed some characters already, but the merging of Doctor Who was the 15th Doctor being a black male lead, but unfortunately the LGBT thing has blurred in, and as you said, it's another trope, Sonny.
Yeah, it's the basic trope forced in, you know, by my corporate mandated doctor. You know, I haven't felt like this since Peter Davison. That's a personal take.
And this is it. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, those two shots on the screen that hardly help. But I have to say, these are the latest shots of the junket in America. And honestly, she's quite well dressed, I have to say, but he's not.
No.
I really don't know what he's trying to sell as. And do you know what, James? He's trying to sell himself, not Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like a lot of people have been saying in chat, like, you know, they don't care about the sex or the sexuality or the skin color. They just care about the acting performance, which is something I completely agree with. I mean, like just last night, I was in a conversation with a bunch of people from the Final Fantasy community, and like 90% of us, as I'm mentioning this just because he's been mentioned in chat, 90% of us said that Cisco was the best captain, Cisco from DS9.
Yeah.
And, you know, 90% of those 90% of people were white people. You know, we don't bleeding care. We just want a good performance.
Yeah.
You don't have to look like me for me to like you.
No, and I've made this case. Look, there's only three of us here. We only represent ourselves, and I'm always very clear on that. However, it is fascinating that three of us have said we don't need this type of representation. When I talked to Sonny, quickly you were mentioning John Pertwee, so you just like the stories and that character. Yeah, the Doctor.
I really enjoyed him.
The Doctor's very middle class to me, and I was a working class cat. I mean, there was no representation of me, but I didn't care about that. I just loved the stories. And I think that's what's missing here. Thomas McCarthy, Ncuti is just very boring, vain person who lacks any real character. That's my opinion. He's a cardboard cutout and better suited to being a fashion model. I mean, he did start in nightclubs, go-go dancing, didn't he, really? But that's the junket. And this is how it used to be done when they went to America, Sonny and James. Look at that. Capaldi's not looking like he's camp with, you know, rubbish acting. I mean, look at them here. Look at that shot. With the King Kong's hand, and it's just it is so melodramatic. It's not even acting. I'd expect that from, you know, kindergarten school kids. And then you see Peter Capaldi with Clara. Look,
that's a commanding performance. That is a person who knows that he's the star of the show, but he's not the star of the show. The character he's playing is the star of the show.
Peak NUWHO.
He is not playing Peter Capaldi. He is playing the Doctor.
And it's not that kind of. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I don't do all this. Oh, you know. Whereas Ncuti does, and you think, oh dear. It's all too exaggerated. I mean, you've saved yourself a lot from last season, not seeing it, Sonny, because there's a lot of crying.
I already knew it was gonna be bad.
Oh, Sonny might be joining us on reviews, Gan. Just you. Now,
hey, I'll for it if you want me. I'll do it. I'll sacrifice myself.
Well, of course, I've got lots of ideas, and I won't give them all away now. There's nosy devils out there, but yes, I've got some plans. They're not just a review. So this is the big question I want the thread and the panelists to really get into. Good Morning America, which I know somebody in the thread said, well, nobody watches now anyway, but they said Doctor Who was a hit TV show. Right. Now, let's be honest. Was it ever a hit show? What constitutes a hit show? So I'll start with you, James. Is Doctor Who a hit TV show?
The Doctor Who I know is, but they've started themselves by renumbering it, which I know we've already covered, which is ridiculous. So this incarnation of Doctor Who is not a hit TV show, but they are continuing from the old seasons, which means it is the same show, which means it is a hit show that's gone downhill. It's all put it this way. The Matt Smith era was extremely popular in the US. Extremely popular. It was like, I think it was from BBC programs exported to America. I think it was second only to Top Gear. So in that respect, yes, it's absolutely a hit show. But last season and the season before were massive flops. And they say in the pop charts, you're only as good as your last single. So in that respect, no, it's not.
Yeah. Well, Farsight,
I can only go around in circles with this. I need someone to interrupt me.
Yeah. Farsight said, I was talking to an acquaintance last night who was a casual Who viewer. He hasn't watched it in years. He wasn't remotely interested in Whittaker or Gatwa. You see, that there might be posters out there. There might be a trailer after a program, and it's not appealing to people who've normally been a casual Who viewer. Now, just before I bring you in, Sonny, Lee Smith here, who's always not on our thread and a good supporter of the channel, says Sonny needs to watch season 1, laugh out loud. But can I just say, Lee, I like the freshness of Sonny when we watch season 2 and he's on our reviews, because my God, I think it's going to be tasty. So save him from that, because I think it might be quite funny to see his shock.
No, I don't want to. I really don't.
So, Sonny, is Doctor Who to you a hit TV show?
I'll play devil's advocate. It sure is a hit TV show. Show me the stats. I'm saying the current era is a hit TV show too. Yup, millions of views. It's on Disney Plus. Okay, so it has to be a hit. Disney, and then you know, it gets views. Dot and Bubble, hilarious Doctor Who. I laughed a lot. I just not for the right reasons. I'm sure.
Exactly.
But I did laugh out loud a lot. It's a hit TV show. So that's Sonny, not what I was upset about at all. I was more upset when he said it's something the Doctor's never faced before. I think that's a lie. Even if whatever the reveal is, it's something he's done before, I'm sure.
So, Sonny, if in America, around in your circles, you go out, you're chatting to your mates, does Doctor Who, when you talk about the media or TV or films, does Doctor Who ever come up?
Never. I've never seen. Well, I also don't watch too much media, to be honest with you, because of our post information age. Like, it's just not healthy for you, so I don't watch it. But like, I don't see anything about Doctor Who ever in my daily life when I go out anywhere, any type of ads. Never. I don't see anything about Doctor Who.
But no friends, you don't hear people saying, "Oh, did you see this program? Oh, wow."
If you're talking about Doctor Who in America, that's weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Yeah. Well, here we go, just to provide evidence for people, just to be up to date. Because, of course, what constitutes a hit show? Is it ratings? Is it quality? Is it people are talking about it? Is it because it's part of the culture? And just to remind people here, you started with a start. Remember, RTD came back, and he must have had a precise mission statement almost from the BBC to make it popular again, to recharge its batteries after the Chibnall era. And you can see how unsuccessful he was, because from Star Beast onwards, it just collapsed. The green is the overnights, so the overnights got worse. Catch Up got worse. Platforms watching it is about the same. And 28 Days, you know, in the end, they were just about the same. And I've done enough saloons to show you how the thing is tanking by 20% here, 30% there, no matter how you measure it. And I'll just show the lads a few of these things. I don't know how many shows I did last year when they said, this is the worst performance series in the show's history ever. The average rating for season 1 was 3.7. The previous lowest was season 26 in 1989 with an average of 4.15. You know, this is what we're talking about. So I did plenty of shows about, is RTD targeting the wrong audience? The Doctor Who finale, flatlining TV ratings. And then you compare The Legend of Ruby Sunday, Rogue, Boom, Dot and Bubble, all of last season against the worst of Doctor Who episodes ever. And the 7 of the worst 8 were from season 1. And this is, and then just before I bring the panel in and the thread and really do talk to you here, if you look at this line graph reveals everything. I've added my little bit at the end. You can see the red beginning and the green end to the season. You go from Chris Eccleston, and you can see that the peak is around end of David Tennant, and then Matt Smith consolidates, and then it starts to dip. And by God, Jodie Whittaker's dips. And then after that, we get here. So basically, I don't know how we constitute what we call a hit. Your thoughts, lads, as you see these stats?
Well, to answer your last question about, you know, do people talk about Doctor Who when they're out? Like, the last time, well, to preface, we used to talk about it a lot, like especially like in like groups of musicians and fellow nerds that I've been in bands with, or they've been our contemporaries, and that Doctor Who was a massive conversation point every time we went out, up until about halfway through Jodie's first season. And I have never heard anyone bring it up since halfway through Jodie's first season.
Yeah. Okay. People are now getting concerned, James, that I'm bullying Sonny.
Bullying me. I'm not getting bullied. Bullying me.
No, watch this. It's lovely irony. Side
to watch. Yeah, that is bullying. If I have to watch season 1, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sounds like a form of bullying, making somebody watch. I'm sure he'll do it of his own accord, and his reactions are going to be fantastic. Steve stays, Sonny, please lower your expectations for season 2 for your own safety.
Well, my problem is I watched Doctor Who YouTubers. So like, and I watch the ones who are like, they like anything that comes out. And they're like, well, this was good on this and that. And I'm like, whatever, man. And I just disagree with them. So I hear them talk about it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. And my expectations aren't really high at all. To be honest with you, I don't want to watch it, but we'll see what happens. I might watch it.
And that's
well, put it this, I only watched Joy to the World, which is the only Ncuti episode I've actually watched, although I've watched reviews of all the others with clips in. The only one that I've watched all the way through was Joy to the World, and that was because Brendan asked me on to review it. And I watched it properly with a notebook. I took notes, and I took it all very seriously. I really enjoyed the process. Even though I hated the episode, I really enjoyed the process, both like working out what I had to say about it and actually coming on the show to talk about it was really good fun. So I would say,
I know, but
it's probably going to be a bit worse, but it's probably going to be worth it if you want to do it.
But James, you're just giving it away. If all those YouTubers stopped asking people to review it, maybe nobody will watch it. I mean, because everybody seems to be saying, I'm not going to watch it unless I'm asked to. And you're going, well, maybe we should stop asking. You know. So anyway, the panel, the thread's on fire. So I'll just bring them up to speed. David Harding, but Good Morning America is clearly drawn upon some press release, and you know, don't believe a word they say. Judge Joseph Dredd, who obviously intrigued that I asked Sonny to watch Dot and Bubble. It was okay. It's better than Space Babies for sure. Notice I didn't. You see, I didn't lead him. A lot of people seem to say Dot and Bubbles around in the middle of season 1. So I went for a middle pitching one, and RTD said it had the best finish. RTD said that. So I was being nice to Sunny when Space Babies would have had you laughing your head off. Like, oh, honestly.
RTD did say that. I've watched reviews too of Space Babies and 73 Yards and maybe the Devil's Chord. Like I'm not ignorant about what happens. Like exactly. I know what happens, but it's like it's not interesting enough for me to actually go out and type the things I need to type instead of like just putting on Classic Who.
Yeah. So regarding whether this is a hit or not, Adrian Sherlock, if we're counting millions, there are 7,000 in the world and just 3 watched Gatwa. That's a fairly scary way of putting it, isn't it? If you look at the last 10 years, because there were so many arguments about, you know, oh, ratings are different. People don't watch TV the same way. Okay, then in the last decade, you had 13 episodes of Doctor Who, which amounted to nearly 11 hours of TV. And the average was 7.3. You go down to 2024, 7 episodes, you know, we had 7 episodes by then, 5 hours, 21, averaging 3 million. There's no way you can argue that's a hit at all. And so my argument has always been, he seems to want to go for the under 35s and get the new viewers, and he's putting off everybody else. He's aiming for the wrong audience. That has been my argument for quite a while now. So I'll answer my own question and then bring Sonny and James in. But basically, it can't be constituted as a hit show. That is a press release bit of propaganda as far as I can see. Sonny?
Yeah, it's still a hit show. I'll play devil's advocate because you have to adjust for the episode count. There's less episodes now, which isn't the Doctor Who format. We should have more episodes, but there's less episodes, so we can have less viewers, and that balances out with math that I'm too dumb to do because I'm American.
There's less episodes, yet there's a higher budget.
Right.
So while Sonny does that, Sonny, you've got more chance of getting a job with RTD than me, based on what you've just said. So he's grifting. He's trying to get a job with RTD.
I'm the pirate. I'm the pirate for the people. And if I get in, then I
do
can.
You know what? You do a better job. I would not try. I would not try and stop you. I am not trying to stop you from taking over the show. I'm really not.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is make him an old man again.
Wow, you see?
Yeah.
But let me just confirm this again. This is not about race or gender. This is about age. Sonny, age 26, said he wants an older Doctor. Should we just repeat that? Hello, representation, RTD.
Yeah.
You know, you've all got it wrong.
That's what I was about to pick up on. He's saying... RTD's saying he's trying to go for the under 35 audience. Well, we have a member of the under 35 audience on the panel who actually says live on YouTube that he'd rather watch Classic Who.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I'm pretty sure I'm the generation right after millennials. I'm like on the tail end though. I'm really young.
Yeah, you're supposed to be. You're snowflakes or something. I don't know what they call you.
Right. I think it's Gen.
They just call you wokesters or something. I don't. You're far gone. We've given up hope on your generation. We think, oh dear. So just to give somebody information there, though, we've heard what you said, but as Doctor Who fans, I know everybody knows my Doctor Who favorite and everything. But Sonny, honestly, without me leading you, listen to this, everybody in the thread. Sonny, what is your peak Doctor Who? Go on, peak Doctor Who.
What is that? Okay, what do you mean? Peak episode or peak like the peak Doctor, the best Doctor?
Yeah, the best.
The best Doctor is Peter Capaldi, hands down. That's peak Doctor Who, like season overall. And like the chat was telling me about it the other day too. When I was in the chat, they said Flatline, and I just saw a clip of Flatline. And I remembered that episode. That's peak. I love that stuff. Like, and like season 8, Deep Breath, excellent introduction. The storyline Heaven Sent is actually like the second best episode of Doctor Who ever. The peak episode is Enemy of the World. You can't change my mind about that. Patrick Troughton is just OD. But yeah, Peter Capaldi is definitely number one. As I'm watching more John Pertwee, I'm like, this dude has to be top 3 Doctor easily. I don't know if I want to put him second yet, but like Pertwee is so funny, and he's so the action. It's just oh my gosh, he does more action stuff than all of Jody, all of Gatwa, all of Matt. Like he does more action than all of these guys. Like like
Yes,
those are
some of those
Doctor Who's
ones
for me. And Colin Baker is up there. He's either second, third, or fourth. Colin Baker
Isn't
is
it?
he's so funny. I love that Doctor era, all of his stories.
James, it's fascinating, isn't it? I remember there was a time when they were talking about when Peter Capaldi had been Doctor. They were saying that we were getting told survey results that a lot of the fans didn't, the younger ones didn't like an older Doctor. And then listen to Sonny.
Well,
No, that's what I was saying.
True. I mean, like, I was playing regularly in like live music venues in Reading, and everybody liked Capaldi. Like, I didn't hear a single person who didn't like him. Like,
Exactly.
not one single time did I hear someone say they didn't like him.
There's a myth going around that he was let down by the scripts. Like that's not even true though, because his stories are actually really good. Except for maybe it's funny. You said you liked the Raven stuff, but you didn't like what came after it. I didn't like the Raven episode, but I love Heaven Sent, and I thought Hellbent was like average.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Doctor Who fans say that Peter Capaldi was let down by scripts, and I appreciate you saying there were some good stories there. The thing is, I think you diminish any of the Doctors by having all these companion arcs. The stories are always about the young woman, and you think, no, make it the adventure, to be quite honest.
But I think the Missy stuff was actually done well, and like dealing with her death again, even though that's a reused plot line from the Paul McGann movie. Now I didn't know that at the time because I didn't know anything about the Eighth Doctor, but like that's basically the same plot of the Paul McGann movie almost. Like the Master was on trial or death row or something. I didn't watch it, but like I thought the Missy stuff was actually done really well, and like it carried over from season 8, and like I don't know. That one worked for me, and like I think we were probably fatigued by that point from stuff like that because like we just had Clara, and so. But I don't know. It's all good.
Well, it's interesting because you've got Judge Joseph Dredd. I agree. I much prefer an older Doctor. I would cast an actor in his 60s or 80s, sorry, if it was up to me to cast the Doctor, get him back to a grandfather figure. Because, of course, he can't always save you by being a superhero and running and all the rest. He has to use his brain.
Exactly.
And you can have the younger companions to do the running. That's what you had with Ian Chesterton, wasn't it? So
But the older Doctors did a lot of the running. Like Peter Capaldi, watch Deep Breath. He was jumping out of the TARDIS, like doing free fall stuff and like killing people in Deep Breath. And there was the dinosaur. Like he was jumping on rooftops. Like the older Doctors are expected to do just as much action. If you watch the older stuff, like they do action.
Well, I'm 2 parts through the Savages at the moment. I know it's the cartoon version, but the William Hartnell Doctor puts a robe on, has a chit chat, does a little bit of walking. But I like him when they use their brain and stuff like that. So let's have a look. I appreciate what everybody's saying, and we'll push it on. So is it a hit or not? Moot point, you could argue. So here we go. Next cab on the rank is, of course, talking about. You saw elements of the season 2 in my trailer. I won't play it again because some of you might feel triggered. So I'll just say let's do our wrap up on what the thoughts of the lads are on season 2.
100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, 94, 93, 92, 94.
Okay. Obviously the Sunday show and many other streamers have talked about it, but it's nice to get your turn on it. And we're thinking all the time. I'm thinking all the time. I'm changing opinions on various possibilities and stuff. But I'll start with you, James, because I haven't talked to you about the season 2 titles. Are there any that honestly, I'm trying not to be cynical. Are there any there where you go, oh, that sounds stronger? That sounds a bit more promising.
Well, the well could mean anything. It could be a well of talent. It could be a well of power, like as in an armory or an army. It could literally mean anything. So that's interesting. Wish World has got alarm bells all over it. Because, I mean, that's not a sci-fi title. That's an out-and-out fantasy title, which is one of the ways that RTD2 has gone wrong very badly, in my opinion. So that one, I would bet you a $5 right now that will be the worst episode of the season.
Okay, we've heard the bet. There you go, Sonny. I mean, not knowing what your background is regarding what you read, what you watch, and everything. When you see titles like that, are there any appealing?
One-word titles are automatic no for me.
That's a fair point.
The story and the engine stood out to me only because I know at least there's a full story in there somewhere, because there's the story, but also because it's not Russell T Davies writing it, and I'm looking for like new writers, right? Because we want new people to take over the show if it's ever going to survive.
Well,
And
what
so like
what if the story's about Sodor and it's a crossover with Thomas the Tank Engine?
and then it sucks, and the writer gets fired.
And then we've got two blue
Then it
boxes.
sucks. Yeah, and it's like, oh, you tricked me with the title.
Yeah, well, Geraint Williams says the story in the engine sounds promising.
Yes,
Paul Stenterford, this will be the third season 2 for Doctor Who. As I said earlier, which other long-running show has 3 season 2s and makes sense? No. I mean, yeah, I know. It is worrying, this. SG, the Song Contest one sounds as though it might be problematic. I'll put it that way.
I've said it. It sounds so forced. It's very forced.
Yeah. It'll be very like Bad Wolf. When you saw Bad Wolf and you saw Journey's End, it'll be very like that, because basically what's happening is you'll have the weakest link popular culture reference where
I hated that episode so much,
but I think that's what you're going to get. It's too obvious that when your song's rubbish, you'll be blown into smithereens, and there's a photograph where you see all the blood flying. So I think there's going to be something like that, but we'll laugh because it's the
well, I don't know, given the ejection of being mindful of what happened to your last show, feces into space on Space Babies, I think maybe they won't even be blown up. It'll just be like a Graham Norton show thing where the chair moves and they fall down a chute, but out of the airlock. I think it could be that bad.
Gosh, well, he certainly is flying through the air. To me, the reality war is the one that grabs me. The robot revolution should be like Robots of Death, but I've already seen. Do you know what, lads? I am sick of seeing clips. We're seeing too much of the season. It's a short season. I can almost half work it out. Looks, yeah, okay. It's the name of the bar or something, because obviously I saw shots the other day where basically you see various things to do with the bar there. And of course, this is the cartoon, Mr. Ring-a-Ding. The well is interesting, I have to say. The well, because it's enigmatic. And, you know, underwater, you know, it gets me all feeling Sea Devils. You know, I'm thinking, oh, I'm up for that. Lucky Day, well, you've got the red eyes, the evil red eyes of the beast in the background. And, of course, this is the story when I've read rumours about she's got her boyfriend, but her boyfriend might be kind of like a fifth columnist, and he's working as a spy in UNIT to work against UNIT. So it's very interesting what's going on. And, of course, in the clip, you see its hand go on his shoulder because she said it hunts fear. The story in the engine with a little spider. Of course, you see the big, is it a Ghanaian god? I think it is, Anansi, the big spider. So this writer might be bringing in folklore from a different culture, which may be interesting because, you know, that it's if it's scary, I think that's what I'm up for. Interstellar, well, I give nothing away, even with the trailer, the 5 seconds there, it's just nothing.
You can't hide it.
The Wish World, well, there's your bones, and you see that skeleton of a kind of dinosaur or something on a rooftop. Wish World makes me think of the Wishmaster and makes me think, be careful what you wish for. You might get yourself into an alternative situation. And then he faces the reality war, which I was saying the other day looks like Tron. It looks too, it doesn't look like the tectonic plates of a crust of a planet breaking up with magma. It looks like neon lights. It looks too much like a computer thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That doesn't look as though it's Earth's crust breaking up. So it looks as though something else is breaking up, you know, like the Matrix. It's something different.
The fabric of reality, I'm sure. I don't know. It leans a little less towards Tron, in my opinion. More like good Doctor Who effects, I think. I don't think it's I doubt it's anything too I'm gonna hurt my brain, like that's gonna start a fire in my brain. So
so there you go, everyone. Just as
that title,
the what?
Reality War. I worry that it might be some kind of hard left self-congratulatory parody of the culture war. I think it might be massive talking down to you, telling you what to think rather than how to think, kind of.
Well, James, remember in the giggle, the very beginning, when you know, everybody's crashing into each other, and the taxi, it looks like a taxi driver. He's a driver, and he's shouting. I remember everyone at unit had them things to dampen the noise. And when that man in the street was shouting at the doctor, he was just raging. And I thought, oh, I know what you're doing here. You're making it sound like all those people who are always tweeting, all those nasty people. And it was a bit like that. I thought I was getting preached to then. I mean, here's your robot revolution. TARDIS is retrieved. It's a bit cursed.
Yeah, thank you. Preach is the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of that.
Yeah. Curse of Peladon, he lost the TARDIS down the mountainside and then retrieved it. Here, the robot brings it into view. To me, it's very Star Wars Cloud City, that bit. Here, there's Lux. It looks like it's a bar or something. Is that the reality game that actually it you know, like, because we're going, oh, therefore it's a bar in the theatre or the cinema, but actually it might be that something's changing the letters, you know, like Bad Wolf did. Bad Wolf changed all the letters and the words as a message. But
yeah, maybe I have seen them reference older, like NUWHO more. So maybe I think Flux. No one else seems to, but I haven't watched season 1. Maybe that's why. I just think Flux every time I look at Lux, and they reference more older NUWHO, like with the 4 hearts and the drum beating, like that's like a NUWHO retcon reference.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So like, it very possible, but I'm leaning towards Flux.
okay, well, now we've got the thread doing all their fun. It's interesting what you've just said about Lux and Flux as well, actually. But Lee Smith says that the inside of the skull of a giant bone creature. So, of course, there we go. Terrified Monk, hello. Interstellar is cringe for me.
Yeah,
okay,
probably.
This is what I mean. You don't want Doctor Who to be Marmite. Peter Harrington, red licorice, it looks like, for the reality war. Lee Smith, reality is an illusion. I wish this Doctor Who series was an illusion. Farsight, the robot one could be an RTD ripoff of Jupiter Ascending with Planet Belinda, because it does show Planet Belinda in the shots. Did you see that? It actually says, if I go to it, can you see? It's hard to see, but underneath the Robot Revolution, it says Planet Belinda. So that's when I started guessing maybe she wasn't kidnapped. Maybe it's the robots taking her because they think she's something special to them. You know, we've had that one before as well.
Like the one in the 1952 around Queen Elizabeth's coronation with David Tennant, where everyone was getting sucked into new TVs.
Yes. The Idiot's Lantern.
That's what it was called.
Idiot's Lantern. Gareth Morgan, Brendan's right. That'll be the first time. The Reality War poster looks like an 80s video game. Oh, well, me and you know. Matty Hoyland, the future episode with the Eurovision story has that woman from the last Euro act, Bambi Thug. She's the woman with the cat's ears. Maybe she'll open a portal to hell. Then we go into a new series. Oh, God. I get scared about this. Just do a song contest where people die. Geraint Williams, do you remember the days when some episode titles were withheld until transmission? And Geraint, Earthshock cleverly gave nothing away about Cybermen. that sort of thing we want. I have to say, I struggled with Kinder, Logopolis, and as you said, Sonny, these one-word titles I get so sick of. It doesn't tell. I used to love it. Revenge of the Cybermen. The titles like that. Genesis of the Daleks.
Those are the classic titles, and I think it's interesting, like, that Doctor Who fans can reference titles and we know what we're talking about, like the different episodes. Like, I just think that's like very impressive and interesting, like that we can talk like that, and the titles are important. But when they're this bland, it's like, it's gonna be not rememberable, and we won't talk about it.
Well, there is worse than one-word titles, though. I'll say that, and they're Chris Chibnall ones. Because the Chris Chibnall titles were about 8 words, 9 words long, and it was all gobbledygook. And it made no sense at all. So I can't even remember those. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I can't remember the titles. There's just so
the girl who fell from space or whatever.
That was a good. That was.
That's her best episode.
Yeah.
I was
you know what? Really good title. Just because it's so factually true. The 11th Hour. It was about an hour, and it introduced the 11th Doctor.
Yes, it was a word one, wasn't it?
Fantastic episode.
Yes. Now
it mattered to the story.
Yeah, exactly. Now here we go with Vox Pops. This is when I really get them debating our. They don't know what's coming up. Here we go. Now, first Vox Pops here. Now this one. Now I know, Sonny, you've heard about it. You've been saved from watching it, but James has seen it, and the thread will have. The Devil's Chord, according to this tweeter, had potentially to be an all-time great, phenomenal cinematography, an interesting plot, and an iconic villain with great acting. But it's let down by the actual writing because it's not actually exploring themes of music and its impact on people. Discuss.
Right, I'll have to jump in quickly and say I've not watched the actual episode. I've watched reviews of it that were probably longer than the episode, but I haven't actually just watched the actual episode on its own. But I didn't notice any great acting or any iconic villain or any phenomenal cinematography or anything that might suggest it might be an all-time great.
The thing is, if you've both watched streamers talking about it, like we've done reviews of Devil's Chord, I don't recall any of us saying anything about the cinematography. I don't recall any of us saying it was an interesting plot because it finished very early. That had to do a song and dance routine to fill the time up. And I'm sorry, but no Doctor Who I watch can have the Doctor and his companion jumping on a pelican crossing, and then every time you touch a black or white color, you get a it's like a chord from a musical, and then the TARDIS.
Not to mention it had fake Beatles that didn't sound or look anything like the Beatles.
Well, hallelujah, because we haven't embarrassed them. Because honestly, if you got real Beatles lookalikes, then it would have been more embarrassing. But
yeah, that would have been worse. You're right.
The whole song and dance routine, it was supposed to be about music, and as you know, Jinx Monsoon was the maestro. But it wasn't cleverly done, and hiding the Doctor in a drum, and then you tease the person with musical notes around them. It was very cartoon. I wouldn't say great cinematography, but actually that effect wasn't bad. But I mean, but you've seen streams about this period of Doctor Who, Sonny. What thoughts did you hear about Devil's Chord? Did any of them strike this one?
I have only seen reviews not as long as the episode of Devil's Chord and nothing about cinematography. Interesting plot. Yes, that's the only thing they would hold their hat on. But like it doesn't go anywhere is also what I've heard, and it kind of ends abruptly. Maybe I don't even remember it because it wasn't iconic. And if you're using the word iconic in a modern setting, like in something that came out recently, it's propaganda. Like you're lying to me because like you can't determine something iconic that fast. Like that's not how an icon works. I don't believe that at all.
I do start to worry that some parts of Doctor Who fandom don't actually understand Doctor Who, because for somebody to say, I can understand there's certain stories that just don't quite land and it just needed a bit of help. But to say that The Devil's Chord had potential to be an all-time great, but it was a flop. So, I mean, potential in what way? If it was rewritten and started again with a different script, a different story, and different actors, I mean, how far do you go with this? There was nowhere near.
Well, it could have been good if it did start with a different script, a different story, and different actors. So
Yes.
that's, I mean, there's no way to disprove that.
James, I will say it this way then. Doctor Who scripts and stories all have the potential to be brilliant. It's the showrunners and the writers, and sometimes the directors over the years who muck it up in different ways, you know, with the lighting or something. But I'm sorry, but they've now got the money. They've all got the expertise now. There's no excuse. RTD's a super fan, self-appointed, and I'm sorry, but that fell flat. That was a disaster as far as I could see. And so, no. And as Paul Stentiford said, The Devil's Chord with a bland doctor, demonic drag queen, and a musical plot. What could possibly go wrong with that? What a terrible set of ingredients. Yeah. So there you go. So that's the first one. Second one here before we shoot off. I did have a second one. It's not gone there. Isn't that amazing? Oh, yes, this is it. This is how I did it. This is the question, lads. Now, Thread and myself, here we go. What is Doctor Who doing now to make it woke pandering that it has never done before? That's a lead question because this was set by Mr. TARDIS and people started answering. So I just want to give everyone a moment. What is Doctor Who series doing now that's so woke pandering that it's never done before? Anybody got a thought? Go on, Sonny.
The only thing I can think of is putting gay people and what is it, I guess drag queens, transgenders, whatever, like in the forefront. That's the only thing I can see from starting at season 1, because like that stuff wasn't even in like Jodie's season.
Well, I mean that's
then, like,
three things.
I
agree with you on
I
all
just
three
the
points, but
alphabet agenda. Like I just group it all. It's all the same evil. So like I just group it all
I
under
completely agree with you on all 3 points. I'm just pointing out that it's 3 points, not 1.
I see it all as the same thing, but like none of that. It was in Dot and Bubble, and like it's in The Devil's Chord for sure, right? That's the iconic villain.
Yeah. So here we go then. So that was the question. See, you can see an answer here if you want. There we go. So the answer from this other tweeter was The Timeless Child, an attempt to remove the Doctor's historically white male origins and make the character more fluid in terms of gender and race. The introduction
of word again, fluid.
Yeah, the introduction of Rose as a transgender character felt unnatural because the show repeatedly emphasized her identity in dialogue instead of letting it be an organic part of her character. There you go. There's 2, and there's Sonny give us 3.
That's not true though. For the Timeless Child one is actually just not true. The Doctor became a woman before Jodie, and like I want to say it was Stephen Moffat. I'm pretty sure he made this like short, like I don't know if it was a short, but some movie canon thing that where the Doctor regenerated a bunch of times during the wilderness years. Like so like and like all of Doctor Who is canon in my opinion. So like that was the first time the Doctor became a woman. He regenerated like a bunch of times as a joke, and one of them was a woman, and like it was fine.
I love the way.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I want to follow up on this. I believe you're speaking of The Curse of Fatal Death.
Sure, I honestly don't remember, but I've been watching a 12-hour.
It was a comedy skit, and it was written by Moffat, and it did technically feature Joanna Lumley as the first female Doctor.
Yes,
yeah.
But
it was a hilarious, brilliant skit. Rowan Atkinson's performance in it, in particular, was absolutely astounding. I love that little skit. I'd rather that was canon than The Timeless Child.
It is canon.
Okay.
Well, and this is true. You get different fans now saying different things are canon, and that's the key. Now regarding RTD and NUWHO and it being 20 and stuff like that, I just thought I'd just remind you, because we're going to talk about whether this is a proper celebration. And there's been things said about Chris Eccleston by RTD just in the last day. So I want us to discuss that. So first of all, I'll give you a reminder of 20 years ago today.
Do you want to come with me? You're going to see all sorts of things. A trip of a lifetime.
Doctor Who, Saturdays at 7.
You're the most remarkable man. Don't you think she looks tired?
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. Just don't like being associated with those people and the politics that went on in the first series. The first series was a mess, and it wasn't to do with me or Billy. It was to do with the people who were supposed to make it.
There you go. So just to remind you of 20 years ago, this is how it all started. I mean, memories of it, James. I mean, it was successful, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, with two caveats, the ridiculous Slovene fart jokes, which of course RTD came back for series 1 again.
Yeah.
And the Big Brother Weakest Link rubbish. Apart from that, the 2005 season was really, really good. I really enjoyed the vast majority of that season.
Sonny, have you seen any of Chris Eccleston's that first season?
I've watched all of it. That was my first Doctor. Chris Eccleston is an amazing Doctor. I loved him. I was like, when I was watching his Regeneration for the first time, I remember going to school. I'm in high school at this point, and I was like, man, he regenerated. I don't even want to see him go, dude. I don't care about David Tennant because I don't know like UK news or these new actors or so like all of the Doctors to me are just random actors, right? But like I'm like, I don't care about David Tennant. I grew attached to Chris Eccleston. I think he's a great Doctor, like, and he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I started watching just because David Tennant was going to be in it because I liked him from something else.
That's so disrespectful.
I actually like now I've seen many Doctors. I actually prefer Ecclestone to Tennant, and I prefer Smith to Ecclestone and Tennant.
Yeah.
And as straightforward as a Doctor, I prefer Capaldi out of all of the modern Doctors, but I think Smith had best stories.
Well, Kez the Drone here says season 1 is the best full-rounded package of New Who. And I have to say, it was when RTD knew. It was when RTD didn't know if it was going to succeed, so he had to be careful. And I think that's when adversity always makes a better writer. The more I watch Eccleston, the less I like Rose, says Richard Brown. Now, can you see these two magazine front covers from this week? And I'll just show you, because I think this is the thing. 20 years of New Who. On the right, of course, you've got the 9th Doctor. And of course, I've got that coming and I'm dying to read it. And yet it's 20 years old. It's content, to be honest, isn't it? And on the left, you've got stories and everything about the new season. And you've got the Doctor wearing a strange outfit, like a skirt kilt thing. I'm just, this is when I think it's gone wrong, personally speaking. I'd love to know what you think, because I can't believe the two. Has Doctor Who, by the very nature of just looking at these photographs, has it progressed or gone backwards? Has it been infantilized? It seems more babyish Doctor Who now, more simplified Doctor Who. It just doesn't seem grown up anymore. Chris Eccleston's Doctor was so gritty. It was quite grounded. He was quite lippy as a northern Englishman, you know, with the accent, I mean, everywhere's a north. It just had that level to it. And his intensity was so powerful, you know, that argument with the Dalek. He could really sell anything. Whereas I feel as though the Ncuti Gatwa Doctor, the 15th Doctor, is much lighter, much shallower. It just, and the stories make me think I'm watching CBeebies Doctor Who or Rainbow Doctor Who. It just doesn't feel like it's serious. James,
Which makes all the propaganda all the more disturbing. They're packaging it less as a family show and more of a kids show, and then they're pumping in more and more and more indoctrination. You know, there's nothing wrong with people who are different from each other having a platform, but just pumping like what a lot of places call the message into everything constantly, and just like I was saying earlier, like telling people what to think rather than how to think.
Yeah, it's lazy writing. Terrified Monkey says, my first episode was Army of Ghosts. That's season 2. The intro monologue was what pulled me in. Granted, I was familiar with the show from PBS reruns as a child, but that's what won it to you. Demorpin, the Eccleston era footage has pulled at heartstrings and nostalgia strings I didn't even realize I had. Very sad. I miss all of it so much. I know I just got a bit of music, a few clips, and I have to say my panel the other day said the same, that it actually makes you want to go and watch it again. And forget effects or anything, because the effects do look tired over 20 years. That doesn't matter. No. It never did matter with Doctor Who, but his Doctor I believed in. This Doctor, it doesn't seem to be even written with any realism at all. I mean, Sonny, when you see the two images here and you think there's 20 years apart, I am appalled.
I mean, I just see a captured show on the left and something that actually cared about story on the right, and it is a different show. And the argument you'll hear from like diehard Doctor Who fans who like everything, every season is a different show. That's why we like Doctor Who, because like it all stands separate and it's all different, but it all connects. But like this stuff barely connects to what came before it, and the Chris Eccleston stuff actually connected to what came before it. He was a different person. He was coming from the Time War, right? He just seen real war. That's why when he was telling the Dalek to just die, you know, like that was really emotional, because it was like real, like, you know. And like this Doctor, he's apparently healed, even though he's still spitting at his companion about not saving people for no reason, even though they wanted to go out and explore. Every time I think about it, breaks my brain, because like the Doctor would never be mad about that. Like when people who want to go out and explore and build their own community by themselves without his help, he would be like, good, let me go.
Yeah. And of course,
so it's just nonsense.
The essence of Dot and Bubble is they were white supremacists, really. And of course, why did the Doctor?
They were all so unlikable. Like there wasn't a likable character in that episode. That's why I was even like more like, why are you upset that they don't want to come with you?
Sonny, the one that people do mention, but he did die, is Ricky September. He died.
And Ricky September was kind of cool. Dude, when Ricky September showed up, I was like, yo, that's not Ricky September. And then he was like, I'm Ricky September. I was like, what the heck, Ricky September? And then and then when he died, I was like, we can't say the word. I don't want to get you kicked off of YouTube, but I was going to say some bad things about her. I did not like that character.
No.
And my favorite part was her bumping into stuff and calling herself stupid. I was like, you are stupid. Every time she said it 3 times. I was like, you are stupid.
Well, of course, you may have seen it. RTD wrote Dot and Bubble, and he really was almost baiting the audience, who in Britain would be primarily white, and to say, have you noticed it's an all-white cast? And yet, your story has to be better than that. As you say, there was
there's no mention in the episode, and like I say, I've watched hours of reviews of it. There's no mention in the episode of the Doctor having a different skin color. So why are they saying it's all about skin color just because the actor happens to be black? This is, yeah, I mean, he was an alien from another planet. He was a complete alien. Like, surely that is a far bigger thing than skin color. And RTD trying to make people focus on that is, like you say, baiting. The very word you used.
Well, we've gone backwards. The Chris Eccleston shows, whether you like the farting Slovenes or not, or the burping bin, but you also had some thoughtful stories. I loved Boomtown when he sat in a restaurant and talked to an alien about him. Always, as Sonny said, he always leaves early and he never sees the consequences. And I thought that was pretty interesting stuff. John Yulden here. If I woke up from the late 80s and someone showed me current Doctor Who, I would try and put myself back to sleep. I could live in a life on Mars, happy mind state, eternally watching 70s Who. And I think a lot of us are with season 7 at the moment. I mean, or even the Savages animation. Anthony Parkinson, Gatwa's done nothing except...
For me, season 5, season 6 of NUWHO.
Yeah.
I would much rather be stuck in a loop of endlessly watching episodes of Matt Smith, Karen Gillan, and Alex Kingston. I could watch that over and over and over again.
The trouble is, I hear fans saying, 2017 cutoff point, or only classic Who for me, and whatever. That's allowed. You can say what you want. The thing is, I don't quite totally believe it, because I can't watch Talons of Wenchyan every day. I can't watch Robots of Death every day. I can't watch Plans of the Daleks every day. I'll exhaust it and I'll ruin its memory if I get too familiar with it. And therefore, I do need present Doctor Who to deliver. I do need current modern Doctor Who to start coming up with the goodies. I really do. I need new classics. I mean, if I just said very quickly, and I'll ask James, I'll ask Sonny, and I'll ask the thread. And I know you haven't watched every story, but that's not the point. You're all Doctor Who fans. So, James, from today, go backwards. When was the last classic? I mean, as you're thinking, I mean, that classic.
I think Sonny's going to have the same answer as me. Actually, I think it would be Heaven Sent.
There you go. I was like, what is there to think about? I don't even think whatever the end of season 10. I don't even think that's Heaven Sent. But Peter Capaldi's Regeneration, Missy's Regeneration.
Yeah. Well, if you so Sonny, what was it that made it a classic to you?
Them tying into the 12th Doctor basically being at the Master being at the creation of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Bill Potts was the first Cyberman, and the Master turned her into that, and then they all regenerated, and then the events of the 10th planet happened, basically. And so, like, I don't know, that's really cool. The Peter Capaldi is peak, bro. That's really cool.
I must admit, I really disliked Bill Potts as a character. Having said
Me
that,
too. Me too. I didn't like Bill Potts that much either. But when she became a Cyberman, I was like, dang, she didn't deserve that. And then, like, they regenerated, like, everybody basically regenerated.
Sonny,
and I was like, this was cool.
Sonny, this is getting worrying now. So RTD and Chris Chibnall and Stephen Moffat make all these programs, and didn't you like Bill Potts' representation?
What does that mean?
I mean, it's like, I mean,
they'll never elaborate, though.
No, they won't. No, they won't. I mean, even
where is this is a slight tangent, if you will forgive me for 5 seconds, Brendan. But where is the escapism if people are concentrating on representation? I mean, most of the characters that I enjoy in sci-fi, in gaming, and entertainment in general, most of them don't look like me, don't walk, talk, and act like me. I like them because they're an interesting character. If I see someone who's, that's me on the screen, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm bored now. I want to see someone different. I want to see someone cool.
Yes, I want to see. Yeah, I'm just an average bloke. I want to see something interesting. I don't want me on telly. Yeah, exactly.
That is what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Now there's two. I've compared two magazine front covers from now, and I've compared now the poster for season 2 and the poster for season 1 all those years ago, 20 years ago, and yet again, one shows character, and one shows confidence actually, and one just looks twee. And one, we've already done that one to death, I know, but the one on the right from 20 years ago, it doesn't give anything away about plot, but you can see the character and you can see an awful lot. So
you can see Billie Piper knows her character is interesting, so she's confident in the photo shoot. And you can see Christopher Ecclestone really wants to be the Doctor and wants to put his Doctor across. And it's really well lit. It's really well like directed and put together, the back-to-back shot, and like this is your new duo. These two characters are together, their story is intertwined. That's who you're going to be watching, so come and watch the show. Whereas that is like that's like a little girl stood behind a monkey holding up a lion pup.
Oh no, it just looks bad. I think the silhouetted one doesn't work because the Doctor looks. Am I right, lads?
This is what they put up in marketing classes.
His body language makes him look weaker to me. Whereas look how dominant and confident the 9th Doctor looks in that poster.
This is what they put up in marketing classes of what to do and what not to do. Like, there's no negative space in the right side. You can actually see the people in the right side. There's words I can read without having to zoom in. Like, they would literally in a college class put these two pictures up and they'd be like, I look, no, yes. Like, does this make sense?
Yeah, I completely agree.
Now, because it's 20 years, the Radio Times in Britain has got, now just so everybody knows, and I dare say obviously Americans can see it as well, which is on Friday, a digital book is being shown with interviews and everything on the 20 years of New Who, and that's digitally, and it's free. So basically everybody in Friday, look out for that because they've got various things, and we're all Doctor Who fans, it'll be interesting that. There's the poster from all those years ago. Yeah. I mean, it still appeals because they're looking out. It's vibrant, and you've got the TARDIS, but the TARDIS looks more dynamic there. Now, Rose, the very first story. Now, have you both seen Rose?
I've seen the episode. I haven't read the novelization.
No, but you've seen the episode. Have you seen it?
I've seen the episode 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Sonny, have you seen it? Yeah. Okay, then. So
great episode.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. To launch New Who, that's now lasted 20 years, what did RTD get right then?
Casting.
Drama. Yeah, casting, drama, suspense. There was actually a plot and a story. It set up for the entire. There was a payoff at the end of the season. More than 8 episodes, I believe.
Did you think, 13, but the Rose episode, right, there's people who love it, there's people in the middle, there's people who hate it, the usual. If you don't like it, there's the burping bin. If you don't like it, there's the pop culture references as if the Doctor's flicking through a cheap magazine and he knows all the celebrity gossip, as if he's a lowlife. On the high side, you've got the fact everybody's got a North. You've got the fact that he has that amazing bit of speech when he says, I can feel the earth moving. There's stuff like that. It's very vibrant, and energetic because, when I say run, and we're straight into it, aren't we? The Auton's pretty cool. I thought the end was too fast again because he doesn't like his episodes. You throw some liquid at the Auton blob and it's all the Nestine blob and it's all over.
Well, RTD's that's a problem with the format. If we're not doing the regular Doctor Who format, all of these New Who stories are going to feel rushed in a way.
Yeah. Now, okay then. I'll go down the panel. We're all different ages of Doctor Who. Sonny, 26-year-old, the assumption is you would want one-off episodes, everything cleanly done. You haven't got time for 4 and 5 episode stories. What's the truth?
I think the truth is there's a space for both, because I said Peter Capaldi's peak NUWHO for sure. I enjoy Peter Capaldi's stories and I can watch them over and over actually. But there's a space for classic Who. The way you're supposed to watch classic Who, which I think nobody takes into account, is you're supposed to just watch one episode and then put it down. Don't watch anymore. And then maybe next week is when they want you to watch it, the next one. But like, you put it down for a little bit and then you watch the next episode and then you watch the next episode. If it's a really good serial, you can watch it like a movie almost, or even watch it in parts, like half of it now and half of it later. But
yeah, that's how I like to do it.
That's how I like to do it.
I like to binge watch a serial, but over 2 days.
Right. And then like that's how we're supposed to enjoy these stories. And like with an episode like Rose, you can't enjoy it like that. You're gonna watch it all in one sitting and it's gonna be done and you go on to the next story.
But therefore it's lighter touch. I mean, the thing is, because I just want to enlighten people to what you said the other day and let you say it again to me. When I asked you about, you getting into Doctor Who, you said, Sonny, you initially found whatever Doctor Who you saw from the past was really boring, but then you had another dip and then you started hitting some really good ones. So, if you want to explain to everybody your experience of classic Who from before.
Right. So I've watched, I started at Chris Eccleston and I ended at the end of Matt Smith. I'm waiting for the Peter Capaldi stuff to come out and I'm still in high school. Maybe I might have been at the tail end of high school by the time Peter Capaldi was airing. And I'm like, well, I still want to watch some Doctor Who, but it wasn't super accessible in America. So like what I was watching was stuff off of YouTube, if any episodes existed or what I can find. And it didn't appeal to me. It was slower. It was a little boring. I probably didn't have the best episode. It was some random Tom Baker episode and I had no context, but like now getting into it, I actually have access to all of it and I can start from the beginning. It's just more engaging. Maybe my brain's a little more developed too to to sit down and actually watch it. But I don't know.
Yeah, so here we go. And 20 years on, you've got Chris Eccleston, who's having a bit of a renaissance back with Doctor Who with Big Finish. But he says, I must be the chippiest actor in Britain. Chris Eccleston on life after leaving the TARDIS. Because he was given a raw deal. Now, this is what RTD said about Chris Eccleston of recent note. I love what he did. I think his comedy is funny. He plays it brilliantly. I think the darkness is off the scale with him. When the Doctor's angry, it's spectacular. It's a magnificent, never to be forgotten Doctor. Now, what's interesting is when you saw the Chris Eccleston Doctor angry, I believed it. It was well acted. It had real integrity. I then mentioned Dot and Bubble, which is, I think, the moment he was the most angry apparently in season 1, which is why RTD always lists it. And those two actors are not in the same universe.
At all. And you have to ask yourself, what's the motivation though? Like, what's my motivation? The actors always ask, and it's like he had a motivation to be angry against the Dalek right after the Time War, and with the mystery at the time, with the mystery of the Time War too, and you're like, wow, he's this angry over a time war. It makes sense, right? But it doesn't even make sense why he's angry in Dot and Bubble. Because someone explained that to me. Why is he even mad that they don't let these jerks don't want to come on his TARDIS? He shouldn't want them there.
Yeah,
and they were fine on this planet.
Yes, if they've decided they won't be saved because of his skin color, then they deserve to die. It's as simple as that. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then he decides it hurts him. He's a 1,000-year-old alien. He surely has seen so much death and destruction and evil and nastiness that he thinks, okay, then. You are clueless, silly people who judge on superficial things. Bye-bye. But it's as if RTD was too scared to make the Doctor that clinical and always give you a chance. But you shouldn't give bigotry a chance. That's the whole point.
You would think like that would be part of their philosophy. They say that, right? They're like tolerance and all of this nonsense. But it's like, then when it's time for the Doctor to put up, he doesn't do it. Like, he doesn't make sense. And then because the ideology doesn't make sense. So
It doesn't.
It's nothing he can do about it.
It's like, for example, you know, they will say that it's progressive to say be kind, but it's not progressive to be kind to a racist. That's
but you can't be kind to everybody, right?
Yes, it doesn't make sense. So yeah, the comparisons, folks, the 20-year comparison, when you think of something like Dot and Bubble, when yes, the Doctor was angry, but when you see the Ninth Doctor when he was angry, gosh, he was brilliant. He could rip the screen apart. It was brilliant. Farsight says we need to return to the classic format. 45-minute stories were always doomed to fail in the long run. Hey, there's other series that do it now. They do an episode, you know, an episodic series. And to be honest, he's having his cake and eating it, because he always does an arc, which means he does want the episodes kind of linked. So to be honest, he's trying to say, I'm the showrunner. I want these quick and easy, superficial stories, but I actually want them all joined together. I mean, come on, which is it, RTD? A few little comments from people before I come back to you all. Thomas McCarthy, Big Finish is much better, even just as audio, than a TV show. Gosh.
Yes, I'm working my way through the 8th Doctor Adventures Big Finish stories. Oh my gosh, Hell is so good. That was such a good story.
Wow, I
haven't actually done any Big Finish yet, but I'm really interested in the 8th Doctor, so I'm happy to hear that. That's something I need to check out.
The 8th Doctor Adventures are almost peak Doctor Who.
Well, you've got to think, if the television series is tanking, and I haven't really dabbled with Big Finish, then there's another vestige out there. But I heard that so many of those stories were preachy and a bit woke as well. I did.
Not in the same way as like the Mutants. Like you've seen the Mutants with Pertwee. Like it got a little preachy in that.
Yeah, there is a message.
But like that's just like, it's honestly the start of the slippery slope. That's what it is. It's like that's them sitting at the top of the slide of the slippery slope, and it's like it's not bad. It's not even annoying, and you might even be right, but it gets worse when you let it go.
You see, and problem being, Lee, who was on last week, now this is an interesting point. It's not necessarily about the racism, but this is what's interesting, I think, here. You know, when you say this isn't what the Doctor is and all the rest of it, he says the Doctor would have saved the people in Dot and Bubble, even if they were racist idiots, because that's who the Doctor is. You know, he's a greater figure.
He would.
However, he didn't save Salamander in Enemy of the World.
Yeah, he sure. Well, yeah, he sure didn't. But like, he also couldn't. That was my pick for scariest moment in Doctor Who history, the end of Enemy of the World, because there's these two kids in the TARDIS and they're waiting for the Doctor, and an evil version of him shows up and he just shoos them in. I was actually scared. I was like, no. And so it's like, with the situation, he couldn't save him because he's kind of trying to kill them. But also, all of Patrick Troughton's stories end that way, like very abruptly, and like they just fix the problem. It's weird.
Matt the Silent here. I think RTD can be a good showrunner. He was in the 2000s, and maybe also could have been if the show wasn't cancelled. He'd then have more experience. I think there were so many Doctor Who fans who were willing to give him a try, and especially after the legacy of the first era. The trouble is, he's forced us by coming back to look at the first era, and in some cases, we're not as happy as we were by just having a glimpse of it. But it's interesting what you say, and I brought up Salamander because I thought there are moments in Doctor Who's history where he has allowed Cindy to die. While Blue Yonder, he got Donna Noble back in the TARDIS and let this other nothing die.
That is, I've seen that scene. I haven't watched it, but it's because I've seen that scene, and it blows my mind that he picked the wrong Donna. I was like, that would never happen in proper Doctor Who. That would never happen. But also, he killed somebody in Deep Breath. He killed the villain in Deep Breath. It's really good. Peter Capaldi's entrance.
Yeah, he has been responsible. And of course, I'll go back to William Hartnell's Doctor when he had that rock with the caveman. I mean, hello.
I didn't watch that yet, but I've seen the clip.
Yeah, exactly. So problem being, I appreciate the point. I know what you're saying. He is supposed to be a hero with morals, but when you're up against evil bigotry and stuff like that, I never thought the Doctor would make a kind of caveat or compromise. And he has allowed, he tends not to kill, but he tends to allow baddies to die if that's,
Oh yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
yeah. So
For sure.
he's even
That's his signature move, if anything. It was in Deep Breath, actually. Clara's no, it wasn't in Deep Breath. It was in Flatline. Clara's like, number one rule of the Doctor: use your enemy's power against them. And
yeah.
so it's like, yeah, he does that all the time.
So interesting. What James, isn't it interesting? RTD saying nice things about Chris Eccleston. I just played the clip today about what Chris Eccleston says about RTD.
Yeah, it's rather different to, well, what they say about each other is rather different. Obviously, RTD's right in this instance. Ecclestone was a great Doctor, but I think he's trying to pander. I think he's trying to cover his bases because he knows his agenda-driven BS has not attracted.
Oh, you mean trying to build bridges, possibly? I mean,
I mean that's a polite way to put it. I would have said butter him up.
Right. Well, I would also say that I don't agree with everything he's saying anyway. He says, I think Chris Eccleston's comedy was funny. I didn't. That's the bit of the Ninth Doctor I didn't like. You know, the gurning. I did. He's a very.
I mean, I can't like. Oh, not with this daft old face bit, which I loved. I count that as a comedy bit.
There were loads of bits where I thought Chris Eccleston, he's a good serious actor, brilliant. Comedy, less so. And what was funny about John Pertwee's Doctor at the very beginning was he did a bit of the comedic stuff, and I didn't like it. When he goes serious, I love the John Pertwee Doctor. So
John Pertwee was the most serious Doctor that I've seen,
which is so funny.
I still haven't seen 5, 6, and 7, but of all the Doctors that I've seen, which is everyone except 5, 6, and 7, Pertwee is the serious Doctor. So some of my friends call him the James Bond Doctor.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Some of them disparage him for it, but I like him for it.
Pertwee has a lot of comedic moments too, though. Like in the Sea Devils, I'm pretty sure. Like what was it, Jo, who I'm growing to love? She's probably my top
Grant.
2 companion. Yeah. She's probably a top 2 companion for me now.
I love Jo Grant.
She's amazing. But Jo gets like a bunch of sandwiches, and the Doctor's like, "You think this is a picnic?" And then he takes the sandwiches, starts eating them, gives them to other people, and then gives it back to Jo. It's like, he's hilarious though.
Mark Jones, good to see you, says the 10th Doctor killed the Empress of the Arachnos and her children in the Runaway Bride. You see, it does happen. But Matt the Silent says, in Deep Breath, the villain was a droid, so that's okay.
Oh, so he doesn't count. He doesn't count. Okay, because he's a cyborg.
Didn't the Doctor kill Chameleon? Really, he put him down, didn't he? You know,
Chameleon.
Chameleon, the great. If you haven't seen Chameleon, Sonny, I mean, you've got some great fun ahead. One of the Doctor's metal companions, better than K9. Sorry, everyone in the thread knows I'm joking. But Chameleon, you don't like the Peter Davison era. He was in the Peter Davison era.
Oh, that's why I don't know it.
Yeah, he's only in a couple of stories because they couldn't work him. They lost the instructions. Well, no, the man who could operate it died, sadly. So they had they had a proper kind of android, but they couldn't really work him. And in Planet of Fire, in the end, it kind of asks the Doctor to kind of put him down and kill him. So the Doctor can do it. What was the Doctor going to do in Resurrection of the Daleks? You see the scene when he's holding a gun against Davros. He was nearly going to do it. I mean, why would he go in the room to not do it? I know Davros persuaded him not to, but he was going to.
Mm-hmm. Colin Baker gunned down the Cybermen. Like, there's plenty of examples. Literally infinite examples. Infinite.
It's always when that Eric Saywood gets involved. That's all the rules go out the window. But it was good fun. Gareth Morgan, the Doctor is not a saint. The older we get, the harder it is to do the right thing all the time. Being the good person at all times hurts. It's also very boring. We all like something like the Silurians when there's a moment at the end where you think, God, the Doctor doesn't even like the Brigadier because that was a dodgy decision. Or the Christmas Invasion when he didn't like Harriet Jones. You know, we all like that sort of thing. Look, that picture, I think that picture tells us what's happened in 20 years. Look,
that makes me feel unwell. Sorry.
It's gross.
But a man shouldn't be dressed like that.
Well, the thing is, you know, freedom of... I'm trying to be fair. You know, you say freedom of expression, blah, 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 blah. But I'm sorry, but your eyes and your brain just says, look at the character on the left. I tell you what, it seemed radical then that he had a leather jacket to me. But now it seems so gritty and so kind of understated compared to what looks like a fashionista on the right.
Yeah. I mean, Eccleston belongs saving the universe. Ncuti belongs on a very, very niche catwalk.
In a nightclub, I was going to say, yeah. It's just...
Okay, you're going more hardcore than me. That's great. Yeah, okay, I'll hold back less.
Well, nightclub's a nightclub, isn't it? But what I'm saying is, you look at the two there, and I don't feel as though, and I think quite rightly, that cannot be the same character. There's just no way you can do that. The outfits seem to be the statement rather than the acting, and this is the problem.
And he has a different bleeding outfit every week. You know, the Doctor is supposed to have, every Doctor is supposed to have an iconic outfit, how they look. Like, exactly like what Eccleston's got there, exactly like what every single other Doctor has always had. You know, there's maybe the occasional extra fashion item, or if they're in a particular historical era, then they dress up so they fit in much the same way as somebody would on Star Trek if they're going into a holodeck. And Gatwa just has a new outfit every single episode. He doesn't have an iconic Doctor.
But to be fair, and I remember we were saying this last week with Problem being on, the interviews were clear from Ncuti. He wanted one distinctive costume, and it was quite traditional. I've read about it. And okay. it's actually RTD talking to the costume designer who insisted that the first ever Black Doctor Who is going to become this diva who just has all of these different costumes. So,
well, he's not the first Black Doctor anyway. That was Jo Martin.
No, I mean, yeah, but she's only been in cameos. Does she even count yet? Because she just appears, says something magnetic.
She was 10 times as good as Ncuti.
But the thing is, this is the first Doctor from first.
I'm not wrong, am I, Sonny?
Yeah, but the 15th Doctor is the first one in that sequence who's a black lead for Doctor Who. And as I was saying to Sonny the other day, it's a shame that they've turned him into this clothes horse and now objectified him instead of just giving him one silhouette that's kind of fairly average. But it's got us fans not talking about his acting, not talking about his characterization. We're saying, why is he doing that? And as somebody said in the thread, seems
to be fair, he doesn't actually have any characterization and he can't act. So probably that's a good thing.
Oh, he can act. He can act. He's
all
right.
He can portray himself.
Yeah, he's all right in sex ed. I mean, I'm not saying
he can self-insert.
Sonny, what are your thoughts when you compare these two?
It's my only thought is it's a hallmark of a group that you probably don't want me to name on YouTube.
Don't name.
Yeah, we need to stay in touch. There's some channels I need to get you in chats with, man. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, no, but let's just what's your answer?
The real it just looks real like Illuminati to me, but like I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I don't support those, but that's a hallmark of them putting men in dresses and like,
yeah,
I don't know, it's not iconic, it's not eye-catching in the right way, like, but like also that's kind of what they want is like outrage discussion. They don't want you to talk about stories, they don't want you to talk about how how trite his acting is. They don't want you to like really look at anything. That's why it's 8 seasons and a 2-minute trailer spoils half the season. So
yeah. Matty Hoyland here, we think the Doctor must have gained the knowledge to do the right thing, but the truth is we never truly know. We get to the point of giving up our past views and the Doctor knows that sadness. Peter Harrington. It reminds him of the BBC clothes show in the 80s. I know it's just got the wrong vibe. De Morgan, not even a niche catwalk. He looks like he's wearing 80s jogging pants and heavy work boots. It looks like an awkward length skirt. Terrible. And it
doesn't even look good.
It doesn't even look good. And that's but I'm not bringing an agenda to my eyes. My eyes just go, I'm distracted from the story, if there is one, whereas the one on the left, it looks as though it's part of a story and let's get on with it. I don't want my fourth wall broken. I don't want my concentration broken. And I'm taken out of it and I realize this is just stupid. I want to get engrossed in the story. And the costume on the left helps me. The costume on the right takes me out of it and gets me all chuntering away and getting angry. It doesn't.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
I see what you mean too. Like with him looking straight at you, it's like at least Chris Eccleston looks like, yeah, we're going on another adventure in the TARDIS. It's like they look like, hey, I have something to tell you, and it's not healthy for your brain. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
So there you go. So I mean, there has been a massive change in 20 years, but the question I wanted to ask you now is, when RTD talks away in his interviews, and actually a lot of them, Ncuti Gatwa too, say Doctor Who's always been about change. Now they say that as a reference, and you think, yeah, Regeneration, you change the lead actor, of course, in a way it is about change, and every few weeks, even in Classic Who, you were in a different place. So you changed the world, you changed the planet, you changed that. But I think when they say it's all about change, they go too heavy duty on it. I don't think Doctor Who is all about change. I think Doctor Who is all about just adventure. There's no pattern to this. It's just that every 3 or 4 years, you change the actor. That's all. But they make it sound as though it's all about, yeah, you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to show this, No, it's just basic adventure. But what are your thoughts, James, on this? Doctor Who's always been about change.
Doctor Who has always been about looking at different places and finding the similarities. It's the opposite of being about change. It's about finding where different people in different cultures across time and space all have things in common with each other, and it's about finding the ways that we can work together and help each other. So no, it's about the exact sodding opposite of change.
Yeah, Sonny, your thoughts on that?
It's a tagline they psyop to push their agenda, views, whatever, because like it's not even wrong per se, right? Because like go all the way back to like Pertwee's Doctor, that's a different show. They changed the show from what it was from Troughton's Doctor, and then like Baker's Doctor is different from the other Doctor. Like it's a different show. That's the worst part. It's not false, so but it's like you said, how they're using it, they're definitely using it for nefarious purposes,
right? And in the thread, SG said, when Tom Baker yelled at someone, I took it seriously, and he even scared me. When Gatwa yells, I just want to laugh. And it's interesting, there's a segue. Do you know what? Tonight in Britain on BBC4 at 7:30, they've got This Is Your Life, a repeat of the Tom Baker episode. When you'll see Liz Sladen and everybody. Michael Aspel reunites Tom Baker with friends, family and colleagues to tell the story of his life from his childhood in Liverpool to working as an actor on stage, film and TV. So, if you want to reminisce about one of our greater doctors, tonight's the night. Sorry about that, Sonny. It's just, I know it's it's on our channels tonight, but good old Tom Baker, 90 years old, still going strong and getting repeated tonight. So on the 20th anniversary of New Who, they're repeating Tom Baker tonight. I find that fascinating, isn't it? So there you go. And of course, we've given you 2 hours of entertainment. It's been fun chat as per usual. If you've just discovered us, please give us a subscription, tell your friends, repost us. It all helps. But thanks for joining us on that one. And it's been a pleasure having you on board. It's certainly been a pleasure having the three of us here again. James, thank you for your time. I know you're going to be busy, but it's always great to have you as a Zennial. And Sonny, first time on our channel. I hope you're going to have many more. I hope you're going to do reviews with us. I think the thread enjoyed you as well.
I enjoy being here. I like talking in the thread, and now I can just talk.
Talk. There you go. So thanks, everybody. James and Sonny hang around just after the credits, but everybody else, see you on Friday at 11 for the detox. Bye for now.
See you.